Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Monday, August 14th, 2017. I am Dave Biddle. Very happy to be joined by Jonah Booker. Jonah, it's a little amazing. We're 2.5 weeks away from Ohio State's season opener at Indiana. Through the first few weeks of camp here, first couple of weeks, on the offensive side of the ball, what has stood out most to you?
The offense, obviously, everybody's talking about J.K. Dobbins, the way he's really bringing his game to another level. A lot of people thought he was going to be a contributor, but it looks like he has the potential to be a prime-time player. But to me, I think I'm a little concerned about Mike Weber, Dave. I mean, he's out for several weeks now. They keep saying it's a minor hamstring injury, but he's missing quite a bit of time. We're as you mentioned, 2.5 weeks out until kickoff to Indiana. Right now is when you start getting into the best shape that you can get in going into the season, and that's getting physical in practice with the pads on. So with Weber missing this much time, it's starting to be a little bit concerned to me. It will be something to watch this week to see if he actually gets back into the mix. But if not, you may be looking at a situation where they may not want to rush Weber in very much against Indiana or Oklahoma because he hasn't practiced very much. So you could see a heavy dose of J.K. Dobbins early with a little DeMario McCall. And we've been getting reports that Paris Campbell has taken a couple handoffs in the backfield at H-back. So that's something that I have my antennas up on, just keeping an ear to the ground on.
At the right guard position, Rivals.com reported a couple nights ago that Brandon Bowen was running with the first team at right guard at the closed scrimmage on Saturday, and we checked on some sources, and we can confirm that, but we also heard it's not locked down yet, that it's still a battle. But I tell you what, I think that's a good sign. I mean, I thought Malcolm Pridgeon might have the highest ceiling there, but Brandon Bowen's another guy with a really high ceiling, and I like this. I'm kind of rooting for the kid. A big kid from Utah, man-child, 6'7", 320. What do you make of that? Do you think Brandon Bowen could hold on to this job? And just what do you make of that situation?
Very interesting indeed, because all we heard was a Pridgeon and Burrell type of battle at the right guard with maybe Knox in the mix as well. So if they're giving him first-team reps, it means they're looking to try to get their 5 best offensive linemen on the field. And you like the versatility because he can swing out to a left tackle if needed be or a right tackle, but get your 5 best offensive linemen on the field. If Bowen wins that position, talk about a massive offensive line. You got your guards going 6'6", 6'7", and then you have Billy Price, who's a beast at center, and then you have 6'6", 6'7" guys out there on your tackles. That is a huge offensive line. But I don't think it's an indictment on Pridgeon or Burrell. I think they just want to get their 5 most talented guys on the line to see how they can gel. But as we're starting to dwindle down the camp, hopefully they can go ahead and get that right guard spot penciled in so that they can start building that cohesiveness going into Indiana, because you want to make sure that everybody's on the same page as far as communications and techniques.
Terry McLaurin's a guy that obviously Kevin Wilson's very high on. He gushes about him. Urban Meyer's been talking up Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's teammates have been talking him up. It really feels like the fourth-year junior, much like Paris Campbell, is going to come into his own this year. Are you buying the Terry McLaurin hype?
I'm not buying it just yet until I actually see it, Dave. I mean, if you look at these practice videos, it looks like the wide receivers are still having somewhat issues getting separation from the defensive back. I'm not buying just yet until we actually see it on the field. We've been burned plenty of times with the hype with the wide receiver group saying this guy is, looking amazing in camp, and then going to the season and they're MIA. So I'm not buying it just yet. I'm going to sit back, watch. Hopefully McLaurin does have a monster year. We need someone to step up big at that wide receiver position. We don't have a definitive number one go-to guy as opposed to a Michael Thomas or a Devin Smith. So we need someone to step up big. Is it going to be Terry McLaurin? Is it going to be Ben Victor, who they highlighted in a couple of the videos recently? Is it going to be Paris? You know, can Paris play that Curtis Samuel role and be a standout two-way type of guy? So it's going to be interesting to see if Terry steps up to the challenge, because there's a lot of hype surrounded by his name right now.
I love you keeping it real. We don't sugarcoat jack shit on the Bucknuts Morning 5. Excuse my French. I like that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want you to sugarcoat anything. I mean, these guys they definitely have to prove it. Much like Isaiah Prince at right tackle. There's all these glowing reports about Isaiah Prince. I keep saying that's great. Until he proves it against a good defensive line, like I am selling on that, because I need to see it first, because consistently against good offensive or defensive lines last year, Isaiah Prince was abused. We're talking about, Penn State, Michigan, Clemson. The whole team was abused against Clemson, but I still need to see it. So, I'm with you on the wide receivers. I'm probably a little more bullish on Terry McLaurin than you are, but still, I appreciate you keeping it real. And then at tight end, Marcus Ball's been a little banged up with the shoulder. That's an injury he had after the offseason. Or during the offseason, he had shoulder surgery. Backing it up is going to be a couple of redshirt freshmen, it looks like, unless Rashad Berry, a third-year sophomore, can get in the mix there. Talk about the tight end position. What do you expect? You think Marcus Ball's going to have a good year and of the backups? Do you like any of those guys?
I actually really like Berry. The guy is a freak athlete. Talk about a guy who's in the defensive end body that's throwing down reverse dunks in the gym type of athleticism. So he played in high school and was a primetime player. Now, when it comes to the tight end, the question should be asked is, are we actually going to use the tight ends this year? I say so in Kevin Wilson's offense, especially with him being the tight end coach, primary tight end coach. So he's going to want to get his guys involved. I'm going to sit back and watch and see with that group. There hasn't been enough history to say, hey, these guys are going to a big key to the offense. Ba is going to be. He has to stay healthy. That's the main thing. He has to stay healthy on the field, in shape, and cut out the mental mistakes. You will get 2 good plays from him, and then a head scratcher. 2 good plays, then a head scratcher. So for him, just stay on the field, be consistent. But I like what I'm hearing out of Rashad Berry. I think he has the potential to be a weapon in this offense if they can find a way to get him the football.
What do you think of the 2 redshirt freshmen, Luke Farrell and Jake Hausman? It sounds like Farrell's a little ahead of Hausman, but they're probably both going to play. Do you think either one of those guys can make an impact this year?
I think Farrell has a chance because we need a pass-catching tight end in this offense, a guy who can hit that seam. That's one of the easy throws for J.C. Barrett to make is a tight end seam. So we need a guy who's going to have the versatility, the athleticism to not only bring him inside it with his hand in the dirt as a tight end, but a guy that can be flexed out into a slot position as a tight end to create a mismatch against a linebacker or a safety. And I think Farrell has that type of athleticism that you can utilize in this offense. So I like him a little bit more than the other right now.
Let's switch to the defensive side of the ball, your side of the football, being a former college defensive back yourself. A lack of drama on the defensive side of the ball, and I like that. Obviously, there's some position battles. Corner, we'll see what happens with Sheffield and Arnett, but it's really a moot point because they're all going to rotate. We'll see what happens at safety with Fuller and Eric Smith. That's a good one because Schiano has stopped short, Jay Book, of saying that they're going to rotate safety. So whoever wins that other starting safety job opposite Damon Webb could be out there, for most of the game. They might not rotate. In fact, Schiano, if I had to read between the lines, I don't think he will rotate. I think he wants to find one guy, and maybe it'll be so even that he will rotate. We'll see what happens. But just talk about the defensive side of the football, anything that has stood out to you so far.
Yeah, at our last call that you and I were on, you asked me who I thought was going to win that corner position. And I thought Damon Arnett was going to hold on to it. And I think that's going to be the situation going into Indiana. players are raving about the play of Arnett right now. Austin Mack came out recently in an interview and said Ward and Arnett is clearly the two best corners right now. And Kerry Combs, he's raving about Arnett. So I think he's going to hold on to that position. I know a lot of people, even I was going back and forth on this, was thinking that Sheffield was going to actually win it. But as you mentioned, they're going to rotate guys. That's the beauty about Ohio State and the type of talent that you're bringing in, that you're deep enough and good enough that you can rotate guys. But I'm not necessarily surprised, but I'm just happy for Arnett because he struggled last year. And at Ohio State, corner is the prime time position where guys are getting paid. Guys, if you can start at Ohio State, you're going to be a millionaire because chances are you're going to be drafted into the NFL. So for Arnett to win that position lets me know that he is playing some good football. And then at the safety position, I think it's going to be Eric Smith. Fuller's been a little bit banged up, so it sounds like Smith has been the most consistent guy. So we haven't seen a lot from Smith, so it's going to be something to keep an eye on is if he's going to have that type of role that Malik Hooker. Obviously, you're not going to get Malik Hooker type play because that's, once every 10 years you get a top 15 safety. But if Eric Smith can get back to that ball hawking ability that everybody thought he was going to be coming out of Glenville, he balled out at the Army All-American game. This is his last chance. The clock is on him. He needs to step up and show that he was a high 4-star type of guy coming into the program. And if he wins the position, I hope he has a heck of a senior year and makes it to the NFL.
Fantastic wisdom, as always, from Jonah Booker. Thank you very much, J-Book. Listeners, you can catch J-Book's column every week on Bucknuts. It is called Outside Columbus. Make sure you give that a read. And follow him on Twitter at JBook37. Again, that's at JBook37. So thank you to Jonah Booker, and thank you to all the listeners out there for tuning in to the show. I appreciate it and hope you have a great day. Let's do that Buckeye swag, best damn day in the land.